Alright, I just watched another episode of Dr. Quinn. This is Dr. Quinn, Season 2, Episode 21, called Just One Lullaby. So this is where they have brought in a new teacher. Previously, either the Reverend or Dorothy has been teaching the class, mostly Dorothy. Her name is Louise Chambers. Her and the Reverend actually knew each other in the past. It seems like maybe they dated at some point, and so they have that history. It starts out with them in the church, introducing Mrs. Chambers to the parents, to the town, and Brian and his friend Steven are kind of sneaking around, eavesdropping per se, and yeah, they just kind of give her a welcome. And basically, she runs a strict schoolhouse. This is just the overview of the show, the episode. She believes in corporal punishment. So she would be hitting the kids on the hand with a ruler, grabbing their arm or pinching them really hard, their legs. I mean, so many kids came to Dr. Mike's clinic. Let's see, Becky did, Steven, Lewis, who is Horace's nephew, and Benjamin, and probably others. So, like, Dr. Mike really likes her at first because she's from the East, and it's just always nice to have someone from the area that you're from, right? To bond. And yeah, she likes the Reverend likes her. They kind of date, and at one point he's playing the piano for her and asked get to talking about lullabies, and she said she didn't know any lullabies. She was one of like 4 or 5 kids. She was the oldest, and you know, she didn't have time for that. But yeah, she even hurts Brian's leg. Dr. Mike does try to get her booted out, and it doesn't work. Most of the parents are in favor of it. And this is back in the day where it was just the late 1800s. It was okay to discipline your child in that way. You know, the Reverend stepped out of the church before they voted. He felt like he needed to remain neutral. Well, he said it was because he didn't have kids, but I think it's also because he was in a relationship with Miss Chambers. They were planning to get married super quick, but they did have a history. So, Miss Chambers wanted Dr. Mike to be her maid of honor, but when she approached her about the kind of punishment she uses in discipline, they had at it. And Miss Chambers thought she was jealous because she was getting married to the Reverend, because she had heard that in the past, you know, they kind of dated, or he proposed to her, and she said that was a long time ago. It was for the orphans, the kids, you know, and I don't feel that way. Like, we don't see Sully at first, but then she said he's out checking his traps. And you first see him talking to some people, shaking hands, and then he notices Brian like taking out his anger on the side of the clinic. Goes and asks him what's wrong. He doesn't really say, but eventually it comes out that she was abusive to these children. Benjamin was really tall, and he eventually turned on her and beat her, and Sully and Dr. Mike found her and took her to the clinic to get taken care of. Like, I suppose you think I deserve this, and Dr. Mike's like, no one deserves this. We find out that Jake was abused as a child. He was raped by his parents, and he actually, you know, takes up with the children. And you know, Sully and Dr. Mike make it a point to tell Brian, like, you need to tell us if someone hurts you. Go away. And Winter, please. Hey. Sorry. So after Dr. Mike patches up Louise, the Reverend goes in to see her and talks to her and says, I have to know, if we have children, would you punish them, use that form of punishment like you do with the kids in school? And she's like, well, I figured, you know, you deal with children and people 24/7 being a Reverend, and I am going to go back and be a school teacher. And I figured that would be enough. So she doesn't want to have children of her own. Thank God. Winter! Sorry. She doesn't want to have children, and the Reverend, that seems like something that he really wants. And she said, I was hoping that would be enough. And he just doesn't agree with her methods of discipline, and he obviously wants children. So they break up. Miss Chambers decides to move on, and Dr. Mike says that she's sorry she's leaving, and Miss Louise is like, no, you're not. And she's like, yes, I really am. She's like, well, I guess I just don't know any lullabies. And Dr. Mike said, well, you could have learned. Again, in this episode, I love how consoling and sweet that Sully is to Dr. Mike and the children. He even goes to church with them and is in a nice suit and everything. So he's really trying to win Dr. Mike back. But we'll have to see what happens with the two of them. The episode ends with Brian not being able to sleep, and Dr. Mike tells him to come here, and, you know, he sits in her lap, and she kind of sings a little lullaby. Jane Seymour has a pretty decent voice, by the way, singing. So very sweet ending, you know. Short recap on this one, because again, it was just one kind of theme that was going on throughout this episode. So I'm super excited for the abduction part 1 and part 2. Part 2 especially. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It is scary, and something happens to Dr. Mike, but the conclusion of it, you will love it, I think. So I obviously probably won't have time to watch both of them tonight, which I'm heartbroken about. I will try to watch one maybe during the week, or, you know, both of them during the week instead of waiting to the weekend. Yeah, I'm super excited for you to watch them. Thank you for subscribing. For those of you that have, if you haven't already, follow, subscribe, like, put in your thoughts, your opinions in the comments. My favorite thing about this episode, again, is just Sully, just being there for them, especially Dr. Mike. Least favorite is just Miss Chambers. She's just very cold and not caring. And I hate that the Reverend didn't get a happy ending for this episode. So, and I hate that for Jake, but it also showed a sensitive side of him, that he does care and has a heart and cares about the kids. And you kind of see what he went through as a child, and maybe that's why the way he is now as an adult. And felt bad for the kids. You know, they were scared to go to school. Kids that loved going to school didn't love it so much anymore. Learning wasn't fun. It was scary. All right, well, hope everyone has a great Sunday and a great start to their work week if you work during the week. Again, I'll try and post the abduction episodes as soon as I can. You will love it. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for my subscribers that have subscribed. And but yeah, leave your comments if you have any comments about the episodes, and I will see you next time.